What if Rimuru reincarnated as a slime prince to escape paperwork? But the villainess thinks he is a doom flag. By Rimuru Edward 6. Rimuru, to escape his paperwork, takes the chance he got to escape and became a DLC prince in a game dimension, but finds out he is not the only person here who is not really a game character, and bonds with Catherina, who totally is freaking out about the doomflags his route has. Chapter 13. Catherina Clay's POV. Please, don't go. I whispered it before I could stop myself, before I could think of what it meant. And that was all it took. Rimuru stopped moving, stopped breathing. His body stilled, but something behind his eyes snapped. I saw it. A flicker, a glitch. Then a pulse of black-blue magic rippled under his skin like lightning. His golden eyes flickered, not dimmer but sharper. Too bright, too focused. And then he smiled. Not the real one. Not the one I trusted. Not the one that made me feel seen and safe. This smile was beautiful. And wrong. That's all I needed to hear. His voice was smooth, velvet and steel. Rimuru stepped forward, slow and steady, and every inch of my body screamed to move, to run, to do something. But I couldn't, because I knew this. This was him, the secret version of him, the dark prince from the path no one was meant to reach. He reached out, gently brushing the tear from my cheek with his thumb. "You've finally stopped pretending," he murmured. "So why are you still running?" "I'm not," I breathed, but the words caught in my throat. He tilted his head. "You said not to go. Do you really mean that?" His smile deepened. "Or do you just not want anyone else to have me?" His magic pulsed again. It wasn't violent. It wrapped around us like a cloak, warm and terrifying. There was no cruelty in his eyes, but there was no hesitation either. He touched my chin, gently tilting my face toward him. "You said no one ever chose you, Catherina," he whispered, gaze burning. "But that's not true. I did." The world felt like it slowed. "And now, I'll make sure no one takes you away from me again." I gasped, but not from fear, from the terrible, dangerous truth blooming in my chest. Part of me still wanted to reach for him. Even like this. Nicole Escart's POV. I've always watched from the edges. That was my way. But I couldn't stay on the sidelines anymore. Not when I saw her, Catherina, standing frozen beneath the creeping shadow of him. Rimuru. He stood too close, his hand brushing her cheek, voice low and far too soft for the weight it carried. Not affection, not comfort. Something possessive, something wrong. The air rippled around him, thick with coiled magic. Not the elegant fire he usually wielded. This was darker, older, hungrier. Catherina wasn't smiling. She wasn't laughing. She looked like she was trying not to shatter. I moved before I thought. Get away from her. Rimuru didn't even look surprised. He turned toward me slowly, golden eyes burning. A prince in posture, a predator in silence. "Nicole Escart," he said. Still watching, still too late. I stepped in front of Catherina, raising a hand between them. "She doesn't want this," I said. "You're hurting her." He smiled, and it was beautiful in that awful, cold way that made your stomach twist. "She asked me to stay. Now she doesn't get to take it back." I summoned my magic, sharp, controlled wind whirling to life around me. It lashed the ground, twisted the air, pulled at the edges of Rimuru's coat. It would have sent most people back. But Rimuru didn't even blink. He raised a single hand. No chant, no gesture, just a pulse. The magic that erupted wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It just hit. All at once. Like the air was being pulled from my lungs, like my magic had turned against me. Wind collapsed around me mid-cast. My body went weightless. Then I was crashing hard against the stone wall of the courtyard. The impact knocked me flat. Pain lanced through my chest, my shoulder, my ribs. I tasted blood. Not fatal, not even permanent, but deliberate. Rimuru stood over me a moment later, his expression unreadable. "You shouldn't have done that," he said. "But I suppose even wine forgets its place sometimes." He crouched beside me, speaking low so only I could hear. "Next time, I won't just knock the air out of you." Then he stood and walked back to her, as if I had never mattered. Catherina Clay's POV. Nickel hit the wall, hard, and didn't get up. One moment, he was standing in front of me, wind magic swirling around him like a shield. The next, he was on the ground, blood at the corner of his mouth, the air knocked from his lungs. Crushed. By Rimuru. I didn't even scream, I just froze. Because the Rimuru in front of me, the one turning back with calm eyes and that same soft, terrifying smile, wasn't mine. He wasn't the boy who asked me to garden, or the one who said I mattered, or even the one who kissed me and ran away. This was the version I'd read about, the one in that one ending no one talked about. The Dark Prince. He walked toward me, slow and certain. "I told him not to interfere," Rimuru said calmly, brushing a bit of dust off his sleeve. "He'll recover. I didn't break him, just reminded him where he stands." My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear anything else. "You hurt him," I said, my voice barely audible. He tilted his head. "I spared him. That wasn't comforting." I moved, not away, forward, right into his path. He blinked once, golden eyes flickering with surprise. "You're still standing?" he said softly. I swallowed hard. "I should have done it sooner," I whispered. "I should have said something, chosen you." He froze, but I wasn't done. But I didn't think about what that meant. I didn't think about what it would do to you, or to anyone. I looked back at Nickel, lying against the wall, then forward again, to Rimuru, beautiful, terrifying, tragic Rimuru, the boy trapped between this world and whatever he used to be. "I'm done running," I said, "but I won't let you hurt the people I love to prove a point." He looked at me like he was calculating something. "I only hurt him because he tried to pull you away," Rimuru said, "and you asked me to stay." "I did," I admitted, "but not like this." Then I took a step closer, and I touched his hand. His magic crackled, sharp and cold, but I didn't let go. "You're not this. You're not him." He flinched, and for just a second, I saw it. The glitch, the war inside him, and I wasn't going to let it win. His hand was cold, not from temperature, from magic, from power thrumming just beneath his skin, restrained, barely, and only because I was touching him. And then he smiled, not the soft, embarrassed smile I missed, not the amused one he used when I said something ridiculous, not even the sweet one he gave me when I talked about potatoes. This smile was too perfect, too sharp, too real. "You know," he said, voice silk-wrapped steel, "people in my world are either in awe of me or terrified of me." Couldn't breathe. "They call me the Chaos Creator, the strongest of all demon lords." His magic coiled tighter, like a storm wrapping around the world. "I don't lose. I don't bow. And I don't let anyone take what's mine." My knees almost buckled, not from fear, from the weight of it, the truth of what he really was. "I could change fate itself, Catherina," he continued, golden eyes glowing brighter. "I could rewrite this world into something that suits me." His hand slid from mine to my wrist, gentle, but with just enough pressure that I felt the threat behind it. "I could take you to my country." His voice dropped lower, almost tender. "Tempest would welcome you. No one would question it. Not a soul would dare try to take you from me there." He leaned close. "You'd be mine, entirely, safely, forever." The world around us stilled, and for the first time, I understood the kind of ending this really was. Not exile, not death, not even a broken heart. This was ownership, wrapped in charm, delivered with devotion, and I had let it happen, because I wanted him, because I reached for him. And now he was offering me his kingdom, his throne, his fate, at the cost of everyone else, and maybe even myself. Chapter 14. Catherina Clay's POV. I didn't know if it was the magic or the wind, or just the pull of something bigger than all of us. But they came. All of them. Jordo, Keith, Alan, Nickel limping but still moving, Sophia, Mary, Maria. They rushed into the courtyard like a storm of color and voices. Catherina, step away from her. What did you do to her? Rimuru, stop. I couldn't even react. I was frozen in place, staring up at the boy I once called my friend, the boy who now looked at me like a king claiming his prize. Rimuru didn't turn. He didn't flinch. He just raised a hand, and the air shimmered. With one simple gesture, a pulse of pressure rippled out from him like a dome of pure force. The others stopped mid-charge. Not injured, just held. Like insects in amber. Their magic fizzled in their palms, blades dropped, footsteps halted like the air itself had hardened. All except for one. Maria. She took another step forward, light flickering beneath her fingertips. Rimuru's gaze finally shifted, only to her. The light bearer, he murmured. Of course. His voice was still calm, still measured, but now there was something behind it. Caution. Respect. You're the only one here who could truly hurt me. Maria didn't blink. I'm not here to hurt you, she said. I'm here to protect Catherina. From what? Rimuru asked, smiling just slightly. From me? Or from what she actually wants? He reached out and touched my cheek again, ignoring everyone, like the world had narrowed down to just us. No one else here understands her, he whispered. But I do. I always have. Maria's magic flared brighter. I understand this much, she said. This version of you, this isn't love. It's fear wrapped in power. Rimuru's eyes narrowed, just barely. You speak of love like it's fragile. Mine is unchangeable. Maria raised her hand, the glow intensifying. So is Catherina's will. He looked down at me then, really looked, waiting, expecting, daring. And I realized this wasn't just a rescue. This was a choice. The air still shimmered like glass on the verge of breaking. Everyone was frozen in place. Eyes wide, mouths half open, spells fizzling at their fingertips. Everyone, except Maria. Rimuru hadn't moved from my side. His magic still wrapped around us like a curtain, shutting the rest of the world out. And then he turned. Not to me, to them. He looked at all of them. Every prince, every friend, every person who'd claimed to care about me. And he smiled. Not cruelly, just knowingly. It would seem, he said, voice calm as ever, only Miss Campbell, he nodded to Maria, was truly open to Catherina's will. The silence cracked, just a little. If the rest of you had trusted her as she is, if you had let her speak, choose, move without trying to save her. That magic I used? He lifted his fingers, power still pulsing in the air. It would have done nothing to you. No one answered. Not Keith, still frozen mid-step. Not Jordo, his sword stuck in air that refused to move. Not Sophia, clutching Alan's hand, their eyes wide with horror. Rimuru's smile faded into something quieter, sadder. But you came to protect her, not stand with her. He turned to Maria, the only one glowing with unspent light. You didn't try to drag her away. You came to see what she wanted. Maria didn't flinch. She only looked at me, and my heart twisted, because they all loved me, but only one of them had truly listened. And I had never made my choice clear. Not to any of them, especially not to Rimuru. And now, I had to. Maria Campbell's POV. The air still shimmered with magic. Everyone was frozen, everyone but me. But I didn't move. Not yet. Because I saw something now that I hadn't before. Rimuru stood there like a tyrant prince, wrapped in darkness and power. Every word cold, every movement precise. He had hurt Nickel. He had threatened the others. He had spoken like someone who wanted to claim Catherina. But as I stood in the light of my magic, I looked past the surface, and I saw the truth. He wasn't doing this to win. He was doing it to show her what no one else could. I felt it in the edges of his power, the way it flinched every time she looked afraid, the way he never truly unleashed it, the way he only reacted when others stepped in without listening to her first. He was taking the villain's role. Deliberately. Not because he wanted to hurt her, but because she had to see. See what her indecision had done. See what her kindness, left unspoken, undefined, had cost the people who loved her. Only Maria was open to her will. That wasn't an insult. It was a message. To all of us. Even to Catherina herself. She had been trying to protect us by staying neutral. Smiling. Caring. Refusing to choose. But in doing so, she'd pulled all of us deeper into a game with no winner. Rimuru wasn't punishing her. He was trying to wake her up. And in that moment I understood something else. He loved her enough to be hated if that's what it took for her to grow. He was showing her what love without clarity could turn into. Possession, jealousy, obsession, and maybe even what it looked like when she was the one with the power to stop it. I stepped forward. Just one step. Still glowing. Still ready. But not to fight him. Not yet. I was ready to stand beside her. When she finally realized this wasn't about who she loved. It was about who she was ready to become. Catherina Clay's POV. His grip on my wrist had loosened, but the magic around us hadn't faded. The courtyard was still silent. Everyone held in that frozen air, like time itself was waiting to see what I would do. And then softly, Rimuru spoke again. Friendship and family, he said almost thoughtfully. Such beautiful things. His voice dipped lower, smooth as silk, sharp as ice. If they weren't faking it. My breath caught. Rimuru. He didn't look at me. He was staring past me now. At them. At the people who'd come running, my friends, my suitors, the people I thought I had held together with kindness and clumsy affection. They say they love you, he continued, golden eyes dimming slightly. They hover. They protect. But they don't listen. They smile when you're near. But when you choose nothing, when you drift, they start to compete. Not care. His voice was bitter now. Not angry. Just tired. What kind of family lets someone carry everything alone? He whispered. And I knew this wasn't just about me. This was about him. Whatever he had left behind. Whatever world had crowned him demon lord and called it peace. Whatever life had buried the boy who once just wanted connection. I've watched them, Catherina, he said. All of them. You thought you were saving them. But really, they were just waiting for you to pick their side. And in that moment, I didn't see a villain. I saw someone who had been alone for so long, he forgot what real connection felt like. Someone who had been loved too late in every version of his story. Someone who was trying to protect me from making the same mistake. And suddenly, I didn't want to run. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to reach him. Chapter 15. Catherina Clay's POV. The magic began to fade. Not suddenly. Not like a spell breaking. It drew back, like the tide. Like he was taking it with him. Like he was leaving. Rimuru, I whispered. He looked at me one last time. His eyes weren't glowing anymore. They weren't cold or angry. They were just sad. The kind of sad that comes from knowing someone would have chosen you, if only they realized in time. He smiled faintly. But I'll leave you, he said quietly, with your fake friends, and Miss Campbell. The air stilled. Goodbye, my farming girl. My heart broke, because he said it like a farewell, not like a threat, not like a villain, like someone who had once smiled beside me in the garden and meant every word, like someone who had tried to fight fate for me, and just didn't have the strength left to keep trying. He turned, and this time no one moved to stop him. Not Maria. Not the boys. Not even me. Because I was too stunned to breathe. Too shattered to speak. And then, he was gone. The darkness went with him. The courtyard was still. And so was I. Because somewhere inside me, something had just collapsed. Not a doom flag. Not a magic trap. Just a boy walking away with my heart. Jordo Stewart's POV. The magic was gone. The courtyard had fallen into a strange, hollow stillness. Like the aftermath of a battle no one wanted to admit had happened. Catherina didn't move. No one did. We were all still caught in the wake of his words. But mine echoed louder than the rest. Friendship and family are beautiful, if they weren't faking it. You thought you were saving them, but really, they were just waiting for you to pick their side. And then his final goodbye. I'll leave you with your fake friends. He hadn't even looked at me when he said it. He didn't need to, because I felt it. The sting. The truth. I clenched my fists at my sides, staring at the place where Rimuru had vanished. The others spoke in low voices, checking on Nickel, glancing at Catherina, still frozen where she stood. But I couldn't look at her, because I knew. He was right. I'd never really given her a choice. I cloaked it in charm, in smiles, in warmth. But beneath it all, I was just as selfish as he had been. I wanted her, not just as a fiancée, not as a noble duty, but as mine. And I had been so confident, so certain that eventually, she'd choose me, that I never realized I wasn't truly seeing her. Rimuru had, and even in the darkest version of himself, he still let her go. I swallowed hard, something tight building in my chest. He had walked away. I never could. But now I wasn't sure if that made me strong, or just a coward. I looked at Catherina, her shoulders trembling slightly, her eyes locked on nothing at all. And for the first time in years, I didn't know what to say. Because maybe loving someone means stepping back. And I wasn't sure if I was strong enough to do that. Not like he was. Mary Hunt's POV. He was gone. Just like that. No explosion. No spell. No final fight. Just a few words. And the kind of silence that left all of us standing like statues in the garden Catherina loved so much. The same garden that now felt emptier than I'd ever seen it. I should have said something. I should have done something. But I hadn't moved. Not when Rimuru threatened. Not when he hurt Nickel. Not even when he looked at all of us and said, "You didn't listen. You protected her instead of standing with her." Those words had burned. Not because they were cruel. Because they were true. I loved Catherina. I still do. And I told myself I was different. That I saw her clearly. That I stayed close because I understood what she needed. But I didn't ask her. Not really. I just stayed close. Pressed in. Guarded my spot beside her like it was mine to keep. You were just waiting for her to pick your side. He'd meant all of us. And I hated that he was right. I looked at Catherina now. Still standing in the same place, unmoving, like she'd been turned to stone. And I saw it. She wasn't just stunned. She was shattered. Not because of Rimuru's magic. Not because of fear. Because she hadn't realized. And now, it was too late. He left to protect her. He became the villain so she'd finally look in the mirror and see what we all refused to. And I didn't stop him. Because I hadn't seen it either. Not until now. I clenched my fists and looked down. It hurt. More than I thought it would. Because I hadn't just lost my place beside Catherina. I'd lost the illusion that I ever truly deserved it. Catherina Clay's POV. The courtyard was quiet. Too quiet. The kind that sits in your chest, heavy and echoing. Like you're standing in the wreckage of something beautiful you didn't know you were breaking until it was already gone. Everyone was still watching me. I knew it. They wanted me to speak, to smile, to reassure them. But I couldn't do any of that. Because I finally understood. I did this. Not alone. Not on purpose. But through every moment I hesitated. Every time I smiled instead of choosing. Every time I let love bloom but never gave it direction. I led them here. And I led him here. Rimuru. My friend. My strange, sweet, brilliant prince from another world. The one who listened. Who watched. Who said I mattered when no one else knew how to say it. And now he was gone. Because I let the silence between us grow too loud. "I'm sorry," I said. The words fell from my mouth before I knew who I was speaking to. Maybe the boys. Maybe Maria. Maybe myself. I looked at my hands, still trembling. "He was right," I said quietly. "I've been so afraid of choosing that I didn't realize I already had." I looked up and they were all still frozen in place. Every person who'd tried to protect me. Every person I'd tried to protect. I thought, if I just loved everyone a little, I whispered. No one would get hurt. I laughed once, broken and small. But I didn't save anyone. And then I said the words that hurt the most. I didn't even save him. The last thing he called me, my farming girl, still clung to my chest like a wound. Because that was when I knew. He had seen all of me, even the parts one hid from myself. And he loved me anyway. And I let him walk away. I don't want to be afraid anymore, I said. Then I looked out toward the horizon. And I made a promise. Rimuru Tempest, I'm coming for you. Not as the girl who dodged doomflags. Not as the girl who made everyone smile. But as Catherina Clays, the one finally ready to choose. Chapter 16. Rimuru Tempest's POV. The wind out here was quieter. Not heavy with expectation. Not humming with corrupted magic. Just still. I walked down the path beyond the academy grounds, hands in my pockets, the weight of the last few days finally slipping off my shoulders. I didn't look back, not because I didn't want to, but because if I did, I might stay. And I wasn't allowed to stay anymore. Not after what I said, not after what I became. But despite all of that, I smiled, just faintly. I think she'll gain true friendship now, I murmured to myself. Not the kind built on guilt or fear. Real, honest connection. The kind she's always deserved. She would be okay, because I broke the illusion. And now maybe she could finally grow. Good luck, Catherina, I whispered. I looked up toward the horizon. And now, back to my game nation. The words tasted strange. Not quite bitter, not quite sweet. A tiny human country on the edge of this world's map. Barely more than a few towns and a castle. Designed for diplomatic intrigue, political balance, and the occasional secret route. My vacation home, apparently. A place meant to let the DLC prince appear dramatic and mysterious without impacting the main story too much. Time to sit out the rest of the script, I muttered, amused. Let the noble harem sort themselves out. I stretched, magic quiet now. Glitch gone. Just me. Maybe I'll start that harvest festival early this year. Something simple, with real people. And maybe, just maybe, if she ever chose to walk toward me instead of away, I'd welcome her into that world, too. Catherina Clay's POV. The courtyard was still quiet. No more swirling magic. No dark prince. No one left to fight. Just silence. And the weight of what I hadn't said. I want to find him, I said softly. Everyone looked at me, stunned. I want to find Rimuru, I repeated louder. I need to. My voice shook, but I didn't hide behind it. I didn't choose before. I thought if I just made everyone happy, it would be enough. But it wasn't. And now, I think I've already lost him. I looked around at all of them. Jordo, Keith, Alan, Nickel, Sophia, Mary, Maria, and felt the pressure in my chest swell. I know I hurt you. All of you. I didn't mean to. I was scared. But I'm not anymore. I took a breath. And I can't go after him alone. There was silence for a moment. Then Maria stepped forward, calm and radiant as ever. I'll help you track him, she said gently. His magical trail is faint, but he didn't try to hide it. I think he wanted you to find him. I blinked. Really? Maria smiled. He left a door open. You just have to walk through it. Mary stepped up next. I'll prepare your bags. You'll say something ridiculous when you see him, and you'll want your gardening kit to recover your dignity. Alan rolled his eyes but grinned. I'll borrow a horse from the stables. No way we're letting you trek across the border on foot. Sophia dapped at her eyes and added, I can draft a formal letter to his nation. Say you're going as a diplomatic envoy. So no one asks too many questions when you arrive. She didn't say game nation. None of them did. Because to them it wasn't some route or code or story. It was just his home. And I was going to it. Jordo looked at me for a long time before finally speaking. Tell him, he said quietly, that I lost. But I'm glad it was to someone who knew how to make you choose. My throat tightened. Keith gave me a quiet nod. Let's get you to him. Before your heart changes its mind. I laughed softly, watery and shaken. But I wasn't afraid anymore. Because this time, I was going. Not to dodge a flag. Not to break a script. But to say the words I should have said a long time ago. I choose you, Rimuru. Even if I had to cross kingdoms to do it. Jordo Stewart's POV. She was packing. Maria had already found the trail. Mary was preparing travel bags with ridiculous efficiency. Keith was confirming escort arrangements. And Catherina was pacing, trying to remember how to breathe, how to speak, how to look less like someone going to confess her feelings and more like someone on a diplomatic visit. And I stood just outside the garden shed and waited. She came out holding a ridiculous straw hat. We locked eyes, and for a moment it was just us again. Her smile, frazzled and too bright. My carefully arranged composure. Jordo, she said softly, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to say my name. I smiled for her. I always had. But this time, I didn't try to keep her. I'm happy for you, I said. Truly. She looked down, hands twisting the brim of the hat. I waited a beat. Then gently, but Catherina, this does mean you're breaking up with me, right? Our engagement, I asked her. I asked you. Her breath caught, and I saw the guilt in her eyes, the sadness, the part of her that still wanted to make everyone happy. But she nodded. Slow, honest. Yes, I am. It hurt, not like a dagger, not like fire, like a ribbon being untied. Quiet, final. I took a breath, and then I stepped forward and gently reached for her hand. She let me take it. I bowed over it, pressed a kiss to her knuckles, then looked up at her and smiled. For real this time. Then let this be the last thing I give you. Freedom. Her eyes shimmered. I let her hand go, then turned before I could change my mind. And for the first time in a long, long time, I was no longer her prince. Catherina Clay's POV. I'd rehearsed a dozen different things to say. Some of them ridiculous. Some of them heartfelt. Some of them involved throwing vegetables. But I hadn't prepared for this. The gates of the capital had been easier to cross than I expected. Maria's diplomatic letter had done the work. We were escorted inside like honored guests. I left the others behind in the hall. I told them I wanted to see him first. Alone. I walked into the palace courtyard garden, not unlike mine, and there he was, Rimuru, smiling and kneeling in front of a girl, Chloe. She was lovely, refined, her dress understated, her smile shy, and on her hand, a ring, silver and blue, glinting in the sunlight. He slid it onto her finger with a practiced grace I knew too well. And then he looked at her, not with command, not with distance, with affection, with softness, the same look he used to give me. My breath caught. I didn't say a word, couldn't, because I understood something in that second that no one else could have told me. I was too late. He had waited. He had loved. And then, when I didn't come, he moved on. He gave her what I was too scared to accept. I turned before they saw me. My hands were shaking. And for the first time in all of this, after death flags, heartbreak, magic, and goodbye, I didn't feel like a heroine. I felt like a footnote in someone else's ending. Chapter 17. Rimuru Tempest's POV. Her fingers were cold, nervous. Maybe. Chloe was sweet, elegant, from a good family in the capital. She spoke carefully, studied policy, tended flowers. She reminded me of peace. So I gave her the ring, and I smiled. The same smile I used to give Catherina, because that's what people expected from a prince, from a ruler, from someone who'd come from another world and learned how to perform nobility like a script. There, that should make things easier. She blushed. I didn't say anything more, because if I said too much, it might all fall apart. Because I could feel her, Catherina, even before I saw her. Her magic brushed against mine like a ghost. The warmth, the panic, the heartbreak. And I didn't have to turn around to know what she had just seen. She was here. She had come for me. Too late. Good, I thought. She saw it. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because this was necessary. Because I knew something she didn't. I'm leaving this world. Soon. The magic's weakening. The glitch is repairing. My body, this DLC version of me, it was never meant to last. The moment the system stabilizes, I'll be sent back to where I came from. Back to my nation. Back to my people. Back to my reality. And she can't follow. Not without giving up everything she's built. Her friends. Her life. Her second chance. I won't let her throw it away chasing a ghost. So I gave someone else the ring. Smiled the same way. Pretended I'd moved on. And hoped she believed it. Even though everything inside me still whispered her name. Catherina Clay's POV. I didn't cry right away. I walked. I don't even know how far. Just away from the courtyard. Away from the palace. Away from the ring on Chloe's finger and the smile that used to belong to me. I kept walking until my legs started shaking. Then I sat on a stone bench near a fountain that sounded way too cheerful for what was happening inside my chest. He moved on. I came all this way. I made my choice. I chose him. Too late. And I hated that I was too proud to call out. Too afraid to ask if I'd misread what I saw. Too embarrassed to break down in front of the girl who had taken my place without even knowing I was a contender. I dug my fingers into my skirt, twisting the fabric. I deserved this, I whispered. The words burned. Ugly. Unfair. But maybe true. I should have said something sooner. I should have. What? Admitted I was in love with a prince who came from nowhere? A boy who glitched like a broken spell and still looked at me like I was the only real thing in a world made of choices? I should have stopped pretending I could make everyone happy. I should have told him when it still mattered. And now? He was smiling for someone else. With the same eyes. With the same softness. With the same heartbreak I hadn't noticed when it was mine. Covered my face. And finally, I cried. Not because he didn't love me, but because I realized I still love him, and I might not get another chance to tell him so. Keith Clay's POV. I found her by the fountain. She was trying to hide it. Shoulders tight, hands curled in her skirt like she could hold herself together with fabric and willpower. But her back was shaking. And when I stepped closer, I heard it. She was crying. Really crying. Not the fake tears she used to use when she wanted an extra slice of cake. Not the dramatic ones she used to stop doomflags. Not the loud sobbing she did when she tripped into a pond and claimed it was part of her plan. This was quiet. Raw. Real. I didn't say her name right away. I sat beside her. Let her cry. Waited. Eventually, she sniffed and said, without looking at me, "You saw it, didn't you?" I nodded even though she wasn't watching. "The ring," she whispered. The way he looked at her. Her voice cracked on the last word. I hated how small she sounded. I was too late, Keith. I swallowed hard. I wanted to say it wasn't true. That maybe she'd misunderstood. That maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But I'd seen Rimuru's face too. And I'd seen hers the moment she turned around. "I waited too long," she whispered. I was scared. And now I lost him. I clenched my fists in my lap. I wanted to say something. Anything. But all I could do was reach out and gently pull her into a hug. She didn't fight it. She just collapsed into my arms like she had when she was younger, when she scraped her knee or got scolded or had a nightmare about being exiled again. And I held her. Because this time, there was no fixing it with magic or force or sharp words. She had loved someone. And she had lost him. "He still loves you, you know," I said eventually. She froze. That look he gave her. It wasn't the same. It was close, but not the same. She pulled back just enough to look at me. Eyes red. Hands trembling. "You think?" "I think if you stop here, then yes, it's over. But if you stand up, if you tell him anyway," I brushed a tear off her cheek. "Then at least it'll be your ending, not someone else's." Catherina Clay's POV. I ran. I didn't wait for a guard. I didn't ask Maria to track him. I didn't stop to think. I ran. Through the stone halls. Through the twisting garden. Back to the courtyard where I first saw him, where everything shattered. And this time, he was alone. No Chloe. No ring. Just him. Sitting on the edge of the fountain. Eyes turned up toward the sky like he was trying to memorize it. Rimuru. He didn't turn at first. But when he did, I stopped. Because something was wrong. His outline shimmered, faintly, like heat in the air. Parts of him flickered. 1 second, solid. The next, slightly translucent. His smile when he saw me was soft and unbearably sad. "Ah," he said, "so you came after all. I knew you would." My heart dropped. "What's happening to you?" He looked at his hands, turned them over slowly. Light passed through the tips of his fingers. "The DLC is over," he said simply. "My route ends here. This body, this character, it wasn't meant to stay." "No," I said immediately. "No, you can't just disappear." I stepped forward, but he raised a hand, stopping me. "If you touch me now," he said, voice low, "it might hurt you." I froze. "I'm sorry I left that way," he said. "I thought if I made you hate me, you wouldn't chase me. But I was wrong. You were always braver than I gave you credit for." My throat clenched. "I didn't hate you," I whispered. He smiled again, dimmer now. "I know." I took another step anyway. Even if I couldn't hold him. Even if I couldn't stop this. Even if I had to watch. "I came to tell you something," I said, voice breaking. "I love you." His eyes widened. And for a second, just one, he looked like my Rimuru again. The glitchy one. The one with golden eyes and a dry sense of humor and a heart he didn't know what to do with. "Then I guess," he whispered, "I can disappear knowing I mattered." Light started crawling up his arms now. His legs. His shoulders. He sat back, more relaxed than I'd ever seen him. "Goodbye, my farming girl." Then he faded. And I was alone.